Hey everyone, welcome to another edition of Toasted Traveler. I'm your host, John Haymack, and today we have a wonderful guest. We have DJ Alan Michael Kellerbrew.
Kelber. That last
if you
part.
if you can say his last name, you get a free drink. But
It's not too hard. 3 syllables. Kel. B as in boy.
Kelberlaw.
Yeah. I didn't even have to finish.
There you go.
You already got it.
So on this edition today, we're kind of talking about the music industry, a little bit more about DJs in Kansas City, nationally, internationally, and we have one of the
And beyond.
and beyond. We have one of the top DJs here in Kansas City, and just kind of want to get to know him a little bit more perspective on the music scene in Kansas City, as well as what to expect and all that fun stuff. So you tell me, man. Tell me a little bit about yourself.
A little bit about me. I come from a humble beginning. Small family, Texas. Actually, for real, I was born in Fort Worth, Texas. Grew up in McAllen, Texas, right on the border of Reynosa, Mexico. And from then, music has been in my life from start until present day. And
Like you're going to say finish there for a second. I was like, well, that's
until
interesting.
I quit. That's it.
Yeah.
Done. I'm glad we did this. No, I mean, seriously, I started it. I think like a lot of people I know in church, I was one of those little kids in a little robe that was, I don't remember what it was called, but you sing all the little songs, and then started with chimes and then got into handbells and piano lessons at 9 to learn treble clef, bass clef. And then my true love, well, besides my girlfriend Chelsea, obviously, that's my true love. But what I was getting at is the string bass.
Okay.
6th grade, I joined orchestra, so I was dorks for life. Here we go. And now I literally just I don't remember a time where when you learn, like say right now I just got a new acoustic guitar and I'm trying to get back into it, and it's like, oh gosh, my fingers are steel strings. But with string bass, when I was 10 years old, I never felt that. It was like I wanted to practice and play just from waking up till my mom said, stop, go to bed,
Gotcha.
And that went through high school, and I was going to go to college for string-based performance, toured a few different ones. I was looking at University of North Texas in Denton. Jeff Braditich was, and still is, an amazing musician. He was principal bassist of the Chicago Symphony Orchestra. And at the time, my senior year of high school, I was playing in a rock and roll band, and I told my parents, I'm not going to college. I want to be a rock star. And unlike many other kids that I know and parents, my parents said, awesome. I was just like, okay, cool.
No kickback at all.
Yeah,
They just sort of like,
Yeah,
let's
I
do
mean,
that.
I was actually, in my senior year, I moved from McAllen up to to Greenwood, Missouri,
Gotcha.
just south of Lee Summit. And I, got a scholarship to MU, but I just said, no thanks. I don't need that. I'm going to be a rock star. And we did well. A band, we finished our first record, but never went to distribution. And just like any other band that you hear about, you have, 4 girlfriends, and they're all getting fights. And next thing you know, it breaks up. And
So you were selling CDs out of the car? Or is
yeah, well, actually, we were giving them away, not because they were bad. But, I mean, it was just playing shows, and I was literally burning them on my desktop computer.
Gotcha.
It just like stacks of them, printing out. They used to make those CD label printers and sticking them on perfectly. And our lead singer is a visual artist also, so he designed the album artwork. We actually took some photos. Just remember this, out at the Cerner campus of North KC, right by North Kansas City Hospital. So they have those like lights that go along the road. It turned out to be a pretty cool backdrop for some photos. I have no idea where those photos are now or any of those CDs. I mean,
we got to find them.
Yeah.
If anyone knows where they are, we will track them down.
I'm pretty sure I was still wearing glasses at that point too. I knew contact lenses existed, but it wasn't until I turned 21 that I realized, wait a minute, I've been working on my own since I was 18, my own job, my own place. And it's like, why am I went to the optometrist and they're like, yeah, get you some contacts. And I was like, oh, the whole new world. And so I asked my mom, how come both my sisters had contacts? And I was like, how come I never got contacts in high school or whatever? And she goes, you never asked.
So, blind musician, gotcha.
Yeah, really bad.
So you left high school,
Yeah.
didn't go to college, and you want to start this band.
Well, the band has already existed, and I left and came to, well, no, and the band existed in Kansas City because my senior year I came here.
Gotcha.
And then I left the band to go back to Texas for another year with, I was really helping my parents out at that time. And they were trying to sell their house down there. And my band's on the phone, like, when you coming back, dude? We're going to tour Europe or something. And I was like, wait a minute, you're pulling my leg. We're not going to Europe.
Europe, Missouri, yes.
Yeah. Come to find out, it was really cool. It's called the Ozarks.
It's a fun time.
Yeah. But so cut that story short a little bit. Just kind of get through how I ended up where I am because the band stopped. They cheated on me with another bass player because it's not
Happens,
it's
man.
not really their fault. I mean, it's like, I wasn't there.
What kind of music was it?
Let's go with, it sounds bad to me when I say it out loud, adult contemporary. It's like, was that like
Adult contemporary.
Star 101? No, but I say that just because it had a lot of acoustic guitar driven, but it would still go, say, as hard as Stone Temple Pilots, which is like my favorite band. Some progressive feels like Radiohead, catchy hooks from, let's go back to like Hootie and the Blowfish,
Wow.
Third Eye Blind, and those. I mean, that's kind of dating myself too. That's like my age. I'll be 39 in March, so that's really what it was. And those are all bands that I completely love and respect, and has tons of influence over me as a musician, really. But I don't know. I'm jumping around too much here.
No. So they kicked you out of the band. You got cheated on.
I got cheated on by the band.
And so where you're at then?
Well, so then I was saying, basically, when I was 18, I had started working at Everett's Restaurant in Lee Summit, which is now Summit Grill. And I just went headfirst into service industry. So I was waiting tables day and night. And then I started on Fridays and Saturdays, I was opening the line. So I learned all the stuff in the kitchen, was working all the stations there, and then went open another restaurant in Overland Park, the other branch of it, came back and then got into bartending, and just kept going with bartending. Was like, oh, it's awesome. When I was 21, I didn't drink until I was 21.
Well, cheers to you to begin with there,
Oh, here we go. I think that even got the glug glug.
The glug glug
picked up on the mic for sure.
Perfect sound.
Well, I mean, I made up for all lost time of not drinking, and so I started bartending like hardcore, like professionally. I went and I was lucky enough to get hired on at Harrah's. Was one of the opening bartenders, the Voodoo Lounge, Harrah's, North Kansas City. And then while we were working there, I also worked at another nightclub at Envy, and then Power and Light. Oh, it's gonna open. And a bunch of friends were just like, dude, you gotta come, you gotta do this. So November 2007, interviewed with a guy, and he's like, you're gonna be in part of this team. And so started unofficially hired at that point, and then we opened Angels Rock Bar in March of 2008, and just, I mean, it was nuts doing that.
Oh, were you still doing music at the time on the side, or
only on a personal level?
Gotcha.
I wasn't necessarily honing a craft or anything. I was always saturated in music, no matter what I did, always playing music. I still had, at my place, I had, 2 different bass guitars. I have a stand-up string bass like I have from Orchestra. And
Have you talked to any of the people back in your old band that?
oh yeah,
Okay.
yeah, absolutely. Still in contact with them. There was obviously a little rough patch. We kind of only one guy I don't talk to anymore, but it's not because of any animosity or
Sure.
it's just because I don't know where he is, don't have his phone number, and I'm hoping, Mark Kelly, you're still alive and doing well, but just haven't seen him. And
We'll track him down.
oh, he will be found.
He will be found.
But so this is the funny part, Angels Rock Bar, and that's where I met Drew Coleman.
Okay.
We opened that bar together. I was assistant general manager and head bartender, and just, I mean, an insane time. And almost 1 year into that, one night I was at a Friday night at home getting ready for work. Drew calls me and says, "Hey man, you're DJing tonight." I was like, "What?" He's like, "Yeah, Phil's sick. You have to DJ." And I said, "Okay." I'd never when I was a kid, they weren't playing record, real vinyl records.
Right.
We had what were called Denon CDJs basically in a mixer. And I knew that the computer had the music and I would load a track and I would be like, play. And luckily I had, multi-instrumental experience.
Sure.
So I was able to figure that out. But that's daunting. It was a club that was packed every single night, just to the walls, and you're responsible for the party. If you're not doing a good job, then the customers don't enjoy it, which means the bartenders don't make any money, which means everybody hates you. and you would be chalked up as what's called a failure. I don't know if you're familiar with the word. So have
you seen my podcast?
Oh, never mind. I was like, the answer is no. You're a failure.
Before we go on, I want you.
Yeah.
A lot of people know Drew Coleman in town. I need your best Drew Coleman impression of that phone call.
Well, you knowing him, it's just basically that. I was just like, "Hey, what's up?" He goes, "Hey, you're DJing tonight." I said, "What do you mean? I've never DJed." He goes, "Yeah, you know music. You're DJing." What do you
No
mean?
ifs, ands, or about it.
No,
Fuck
no,
it, you're doing it.
Yeah, he's like, "Cool. See you when you get here." And just hung up on me. I'm like, and then that is really Drew.
100%.
He doesn't argue, doesn't do anything. He just tells you, and that's it. And I was like, I thought we were friends. This is bullshit.
So that's when your DJing career started.
Yeah, exactly. And I basically, in the beginning, I wouldn't call it DJing. I got drunk and played songs. and it led into, because I came from behind the bar where, we had our shirts off. We're just, this club was out of.
Please don't do that.
I'm definitely keeping mine on. It's a different time now. That is.
It's winter.
Well, I think it's 13 years later now, isn't it?
Wow.
Or something like that. Because wait, my math.
So your first night there, you show up. Drew tells you that you're DJing, and you're just like, okay.
Yeah, I had to. I just went through. Luckily, on the computer, there's a shit ton of songs, which includes a bunch of songs that you don't want to play because nobody wants to hear them.
Right.
And this actually leads into kind of a short convo I can give you about DJing in general. If you don't know what you're doing, you're just like, holy shit, and also 2.5 minutes has never been so fast in your life.
Well,
you try to make it feel as long as possible, don't you? I see what you did there, you filthy animal. But point being is each song, you have to, you're listening to one, you have to be able to think of what the next one is.
Right.
Or have a series of, 5, 6 in a row, but you don't want to get stuck in a rut of doing something like that either, because next thing you know, the next night you play the exact same thing. And that's just not cool, because then you are not building regulars, or if you do have regulars, you're not building their likeness of you. They're just like, cool, you did that last night. I can really feel your creative juices flowing. Yeah. But so there's a lot of technical things I'd get into on that, what I found out about. But after I'd done it for like literally just getting wasted and playing songs and
Right.
screaming in a microphone. A funny story about Drew Coleman and me, and then because we drink. Well, not Drew. He never did. Loser. It's like he was the boss or something, and I was up there supposed to be this wild entertainment. So I would randomly get a text message. It's always later in the night, and it would just say drunk voice. I'm like, because I'd had so many drinks, I get on the try to get, like be like shots, and he'd be like, what?
Speaking in cursive, as he calls it. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. But
So after your first night doing this, where you were like, I want to do this all the time? Or were you just like, thanks, Drew, for throwing me under the bus and I'm not coming back?
I think it was pretty immediate of this is awesome. Because as a professional bartender, I'd come from, at the casino, they want us to be flair bartenders.
Sure.
And I never practiced enough to do, like, these guys are, crazy. Like, you go to Carnival Court in Vegas,
Flipping bottles, all that stuff.
oh, it's insane. Yeah. And they're still, like, incredibly timely. A lot of people in Kansas City haven't experienced that. And so they'd be like, boy, I could get my drink a lot faster if you quit flipping that fucking bottle, bro. But if it's done correctly, it's called working flair and it's badass. And you engage all of your customers, your clientele. And as the DJ, you're engaging with all the customers all at once. And whether they know it or not, you're creating the atmosphere and trying to maintain, especially working in an entertainment district where if they don't like one song, they can just walk right next door.
Right.
It's not like people drove to this one bar and they sit there and they're going to be, you know what I mean? Or have to get a cab or risk driving somewhere else. You have kind of a locked audience. This is a place where every song counts.
And so I know your persona now, years later, what you've achieved. And so how long did it take your first day to now to feel comfortable to, how did you pick your DJ name? All that fun stuff. Would you do it again?
Well, initially my colleagues, they all, once they found out, they're like, oh, Alan's going to be the DJ. They wanted me to be DJ AK. Just because a lot of people called me AK and they liked it. And they're like, AK-47 killing them beats, dropping all the fucking heat, And the boss of the boss didn't like it.
I'm shocked.
For some reason, he just didn't like it. And I said, well, fine, then Alan Michael. It's my name. And like I told you before, if someone says, well, now, the best part is now I have friends that'll be like, hey, Alan, what's your middle name? I'm like, come on. You know what my middle name is. But people that don't know my middle name, they can guess it easily. I told you that story.
Right.
So, and just say, well, what's your middle name? Just guess it. I don't want to play a guessing game. Just guess it. Just say your name is Alan. And like I said, 9 out of 10 times, they just say Alan Michael. Bingo. You got it.
And so that's stuck. So DJ Alan Michael.
Yeah. Okay, but to answer your question that I got on a tangent off of,
sure, is
how long did it take? I'd been going for probably at least a year of utilizing the equipment that was there and I hadn't really considered that I'm not playing, like music is me and I haven't pushed anything. And I said, man, apparently I want to be a professional DJ. So I just literally went to Guitar Center and I said, I need a Rane 57 mixer. I need 2 techniques. The highest one right then was 1200s and got them, went home and I was like, got a controller. I was like, I'm going to learn this. And I just stayed at home and just figured out how to use, I'd used a turntable that my parents had inherited from like an aunt's, whatever. It was like a piece of furniture, you open up the top and you set the record on and you turn and the record goes, drops down and the tone arm comes over. And so, and I listened to the Beatles Magical Mystery Tour over and over, memorized the whole record. And but I never used like professional DJ equipment.
So no
you know?
one, you didn't go to someone and say, "Hey, take me under your wing, teach me how to do this." You
No,
kinda
I had
just-
the opposite. I had these motherfuckers like sabotaging me. I'm not even joking.
So what, I gotta ask you though, what happened to the person that was supposed to DJ that night that he wakes up the next day and is like, I just lost my fucking job to Alan?
Well, that's kind of a touchy
Okay.
subject. Yeah, I mean,
Should I lock the doors? I mean, do
You
I
know,
need
we're-
security?
we're still friends.
Yeah.
But he ended up moving to Baltimore, and no, we've had a talk and a cry about it, like
Yeah.
because I mean, he's from Kansas City, and it just, I mean, but it's not his fault. It's not my fault. Like he was,
Sure.
I mean,
It's Drew's fault. Let's just.
It's Drew's fault. At the end of all of this, everybody knows it's Drew's fault. I'm just kidding. No, I'm not going to tell all his business, but it just,
Sure.
but that was a situation.
So you evolved from that. You know, you said a year afterwards that you really felt comfortable. You got your stuff. You bought all this equipment, and you self-taught. You know, you and I have
Mhm.
talked in the past about your musical influence. Some of the people that you've talked about, Stone Temple Pilots and stuff like that. And a year after that now, where are you? You're like, I've been doing this. I'm getting gigs. What's the status there?
It's basically, I relied very heavily on the Power and Light District.
Okay.
But I don't think that's necessarily a negative thing, because it's even a tourist destination in the entire Midwest. Had the biggest names coming through. I got to play on the main stage, and even when we were still having rock concerts there, I got to go introduce all the big bands. The funny thing is, probably one of the first times I went on stage in front of 10,000 people was for Blues Traveler.
Wow.
Okay, I mean, and that was before they had put their restrictions really down on Power and Light, because there's not supposed to be over 10,000 people in that block.
And there were not 10,000 people.
They definitely weren't. No rules were broken. Everybody had a safe pathway to an exit. It was great.
Yeah.
But that being said, I did walk out on stage, and the guys in the back was like, their tour manager or whatever, he said, "You're going to go out there and you're using John Popper's microphone, and you're not going to say anything other than, plugging the night, plugging your sponsors. You will not say, 'and here's Blues Traveler.' None of the above." And so I was like, great, man. First time I'm going out, and just like, can you just kick me in the ass and punch me in the balls and make me a little bit more nervous?
Right.
I went out there and, sure as shit, got John Popper's microphone. And first of all, I love Blues Traveler, and John Popper, he's amazing. And I was like, "What's up, Kansas City?" And it's just, rah, I was like, "I pooped." I mean, ridiculous.
Right.
And I didn't mess up. Everything went fine. Went in the back, and then Blue Traveler took like 5 more minutes to come out. So like, good thing I followed the rules.
Yeah.
And that was cool. I got to do a bunch of that, because they used to have these rock series like every Wednesday night, and then they moved it to Friday nights, and then they didn't want me anymore. That's not exactly.
Well, I mean, you bring up a good point, though. I mean, a lot of people. I mean, I've seen a lot of still pictures and stuff from your career, and it's like, what is that feeling when you're on stage and you have people chanting? I mean, you've played the Chiefs, you've done a lot of different stuff, a lot of different
I got
events.
to play the Super Bowl party there. Like, I don't know if there could have been any better place to be than where I was when I was on that stage during the Super Bowl. Even in Miami, I think it was better here at Kansas City Power and Light District. It was just, that's great. And actually, that's, if you want to hear one of the most crazy, stressful stories.
Right. Let's hear it.
Okay, so on that stage, we've got ESPN, everything, and we're talking spilling out onto the street right before the moment when they say, "Oh, like guarantee, like for a fact, Chiefs win." I was playing on a Pioneer controller, and somehow this random bitch gets up on stage beforehand, and at the corner of my eye saw her coming. She had a bottle of champagne, like popped, and it just went splashed all over the controller that I was using. And I'm supposed to be ready to play, like right. And so I had this like commemorative Super Bowl flag, and Chelsea was there with me, and I was like, I've got no choice because it starts just flashing all different color lights. My computer was not reading it.
And now you're just flipping
And
out.
I was like, using this flag was supposed to be a souvenir. I'm just like wiping it all down. I had to unplug my computer. And it's just like counting down, like, oh my God, no, please, please. This is like probably one of the biggest moments I've ever. And so I got it plugged back in, and boom, turned on just in time. Just like, all I do is win, win, win. Like, that was literally, I don't know. Good thing I wasn't on high blood pressure medication back then. I probably needed it at the moment.
Oh my God, that just sounds something.
And it's like, who is this bitch with the champagne?
Have there been stuff like that where people jump on stage and
Oh, for
you
sure.
know try to grab you or somebody or the musicians? And
Yeah. That's one of those scenarios that you just always have to. You don't want to be a mean person because it's like the best day of their life, apparently. But I mean, I'm having fun with it. I'm also working.
right, right.
I know you think I just push play. Well, the world's gonna go. But oh God, you want to hear a good embarrassing story?
No, not at all.
Okay, well, it starts like this.
Okay.
So the Royals went to the World Series, and they didn't win. And so there's two parts of this story. Like leading up to, so of course, Power and Light is just completely packed.
Right.
And on the mixer that I was using, you have these buttons where there are cue points throughout the file that is the song, and then above that you can switch it to the buttons to where that's in your sample deck. So I can be like, I have a sample that just says like bitches, or one that, and another one that I happen to have turned out to be very inconvenient because it's like middle of the game, it's completely packed. And I thought I was hitting something else, like an 808 drop, and it just goes, last call for alcohol. And I was like, oh no. I was like, everybody's looking
And
at
it's
me
the second inning.
yeah, everybody's like, what do you mean? I was like, oh. And that was, I mean, obviously it was hilarious. It just wasn't as funny as the second time I did it. The same game. I was like, what am I doing? I just immediately went right on the computer. I was like, delete. Just deleted it completely. I was like, no more. Like, get out of here, man. And the stupid thing, though, is like, I'm not saying the crowd was stupid, but I was saying, like, everybody looked up again, like, is it really last call? We're getting out. It's time to go. The game's still on. Oh, we got to go. Like, no, the DJ's stupid. It's not you guys. It's him.
Have you made mistakes like that before, like after that or before?
Not since.
They're the only two times that you've.
Yeah, I've not done that. I've done one that Drew knows very well when I was still.
Let's hear it. Let's hear it.
This is probably the prime one that all my colleagues, friends, they always go back to, and it changes a little bit every time they tell it. But I may have partied way too much.
I don't believe that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So you partied way too much.
And then I decided, I was like, I'm fine. I'll work this Saturday, and this is good. Yeah. And so I'm playing, and for some reason, right between one, and it's a 3 o'clock bar, and just so you know, any DJ that has any kind of career has at least one of these stories. If they don't, then don't trust them.
Touche.
So it's probably, let's just call it 1:15 a.m. I was just, for some reason, I just go, last call. Turn the music off, turn all the lights on the club, walk straight back onto the VIP booth and just laid down. I was like, done. And so my buddy, Drew, was the first vacation he had taken. He was out of town. He was at Lake of the Ozarks. And my buddy, that was the other manager, came running up to me. He was like, Alan. He's like picking me. He's like, what are you doing? I was like, I'm done, man. Night's over. What? And he's like, no, he's turning the lights down. He's like, come on, we can do this. Just, put a song. I was like, you want more music? Just played it, went. And, actually, I believe we could have made it, just my friend Eric and I, but happened to be that the whole corporate company head, like AV guy was in town, was walking by the door right when it happened. And so then he came up and was like, I'm finishing the night. Like, all right, fine. So apparently they walked me down, put me in a cab on Walnut by Angel's Rock Bar. I had the cab driver drive around the block to McFadden's. I got out, went into McFadden's, and started ordering shots. And I don't know. They said that I went behind the bar and told them I was going to show them how to make shots. I don't know.
Don't believe it at all.
I don't know if that's completely true. Somehow they got me back up to Angel's Rock Bar, and the bar back drove me home to his place. And I woke up on some random futon in Waldo somewhere, and first thing I see my buddy Steve walk in, and I was like, "Oh, am I fired?" And he goes, "We don't know yet." I said, "Are we still friends?" He was like, "Absolutely." But I didn't have my cell phone, and crazy thing is, he called my cell phone, and some dude was all at the airport. He turned it on, answered it, and was like, "Hey, perfect timing." And I was like, "Are you serious?" I had a BlackBerry at the time. And he said, "Yeah, you know what? My flight's delayed. I'll drive it back down to you. Meet me at McFadden's." I was like, "Are you serious?" And this dude drove from the airport all the way back down, brought me my cell phone at McFadden's.
That is crazy.
And I didn't get fired, but it was worse.
What's worse than being fired?
Embarrassment. Drew told, well, he didn't have to because all the higher ups knew, but the district manager at the time made me go in, and they had just hired like 20 new staff members. I had to go in front of all the entire staff. They made me say that I was an alcoholic. I was never drinking again. I was going to go to meetings, and I let all them down. I let the little children overseas down. Like, I was the worst.
What are they overseas chanting like,
like
DJ Allen?
Oh man, it was just like, I was like, God, you could have just fired me. It's like, get out of here. I literally was just like, I'm so sorry. But truth be told, I didn't drink for 10 months after that.
Nice.
Not even outside of work at all. I wouldn't say it was nice,
but I mean, so, yeah. and here we are again on Toasted Traveler. Speaking of which, this is the time of the show where
we take a shot.
I'm going to give you a shot of something that's terrible. And you want 99 bananas? We got apple, peppermint.
Like I said, I've never had 99 watermelons.
Let's you do the watermelon. You take that, and then I will do a butterscotch. Butterscotch.
That's going to be you.
That's cheers to you for being here.
Hey, you're not gonna drink it with me?
I will drink this with you.
Oh,
I just don't want any dead air here for you. So
well, if they can hear us glug glug.
Yep, glug glug. It is.
Mm-hmm. It's 99 watermelons in one bottle.
That is not butterscotch.
Thank God I didn't drink that one.
Oh.
Okay, so that is a really good one. And then.
You got to tell me about. You have to. One of the things I've talked to a bunch of musicians about is groupies, fans, all this kind of stuff. And I know your girlfriend's here. I don't want to get into any detailed stories, but let's do that. No. I mean, is it true? Are there people that follow DJs around that come to every club that you're like, oh my God, she's here again?
And they're not gender specific either.
And they're just following you around to hear. DJ Allen Michael.
Yeah, I mean it definitely happens, and like we've said recently, found out it happens even when you don't know it's happening. You
got to explain that.
Okay, well, we live in a world of things that's called social media.
Don't believe it. Fake news.
I know. Society, weird. It's not even there. But upon the worldwide interweb. You can crawl upon it.
The Google?
I've been on the line. And so you can literally follow, because I take partial blame because I don't have any privacy restrictions. I have definitely quit just accepting any friends because
I tried last week. Thanks.
Yeah.
Thanks a lot.
I was like this, John.
Fat translucent guy. Yeah, thanks. Thanks a lot.
No, at least I can see your soul. No, point of the story is there is a girl that I have no idea. I could not remember where I met her at all. And she was following my girlfriend and starts messaging her and saying, oh, you're awesome. Alan's so happy. And I've seen him in relationships that were bad, but not yours, girl. Yours is great. And in my head, it was like, how does she know about like my relationships?
Right.
And also, I will say, like, I don't have any privacy settings, but I'm also the worst social media utilizer that I know. I don't post any, like, my buddy that I'm DJing with this weekend, he had to text me today. He's like, make sure you promote. I'm like, yes, Dad. I know.
Where are you playing this weekend?
At Iron Horse in Kansas
Okay.
on New Year's Eve. And then New Year's Day from noon to 4 at John's Big Deck. And then again the next night, instead of day party, doing night party.
Gotcha.
Well, moving forward, said girl, just the other night was messaging Chelsea saying, almost 6 years, girl, when's the wedding? Like, I can tell that, you know, you guys are so happy and, you know, you deserve it. He deserves it. And in my head, I was like, I still, like, I could walk down the street and not even recognize it, like, this girl. Like, I wouldn't, you know,
Right.
whatever. And then next message to Chelsea says, oh, by the way, Alan and I slept together once back in the day. That's a funny story. And Chelsea told me, I was like, funny story? Look, don't make fun of my ding dong.
Yeah. What do I say to this?
What is funny about it? Like, you know, so I guess it's just to circle back to what your comment is. Like, literally, I don't talk to her. She
Right.
doesn't, and I mean, whatever. Other things are just, if you're talking about people jumping on stage, girls, whatever, guys, I'm not famous, so it's not. I don't have any like John Lennon stories or, you know, whatever.
Sure.
But there's a point at which when you're performing in front of large groups, then I mean, whenever I see my famous like singers playing, I'm just like, oh, they're so cool.
Who are your, like that's a good point though. Like, who are your people that influence you? That
Okay, well, back when I first started DJing,
right.
a big influence was Steve Aoki
Mhm.
before he got like insanely internationally famous. But then music influences me a lot more when it comes to my DJing style, as opposed to just. I'll admit I don't practice enough when it comes to like technical stuff. I already have my hands up here talking about like cutting, mixing, utilizing the mixer at hand to all of its full functionality.
Sure.
But I've always been a rocker by trade, just because that's what I did. And I got to play on the AEG Rock Festival tour several years ago. And Chelsea drove us to each one of the stops.
Gotcha.
We're out in North Carolina, and Rob Zombie was one of the artists playing. And they messed up my credentials. I was supposed to have two artist passes, which means you can just literally walk wherever you want, whenever you want. But they gave us working passes, which, I mean, nothing to scoff at. You can go damn near anywhere, especially if you like walk with a purpose, head down like I'm working, you know, and just go. You know what I mean? They're like, oh, don't stop that guy, that girl. They're working,
Right.
You know. But I had already finished playing for the day. I was like the Jaeger DJ, and Chelsea and I were thinking, let's go see Rob Zombie. He's badass. He's ugly. Let's go see him.
Right.
And so there's the main stage, and then you come back down the middle is where they have all their giant cables, and there's the soundboard. And our working passes weren't cutting it. and Chelsea, balls on her, bigger than mine. She was just like, Alan, come on. And she just jumped over like the bike rack fence. And I was like, Chelsea, no, like, come on. She's like, just do it, pussy. And I'm like, I haven't gotten paid yet. Just let me get my check, you know? And I was like, no stopping now. I just jumped over, and we had one of our GoPros, and she had in the stand, and we just walked around, and the guys at the soundboard looked at us, and we're just like, oh, working. And they're like, hey, no big deal. Cool. Sounds good. Come on in. And the best part of it, though, is right at that time, we were in front of the soundboard. Rob Zombie has a spotlight, jumps off stage, and he's just like running down the middle right at us. And he's just like spotlighting people, and Chelsea's right next to him with the GoPro. And he's like, yeah. And I'm telling you, up close with his makeup, he is ugly. I'm not saying as a man, but with his makeup, like, they do a great job.
Yeah.
that same tour, we got to go with Alice Cooper was there, Five Finger Death Punch. One of the best concerts was Asking Alexandria, and they were on like the C stage, and it was wild because where we were set up was these shipping containers right next to the C stage. So I got to DJ all day and drink all the Jaeger I wanted. Great.
Wonderful.
And so one of the times the VIP was up on top of this shipping container so you could see the crowd, and they probably had like 10,000 people in front of them. And let's say the crowd was, from our bird's eye view, was like this big.
Right.
And the lead singer goes like, when I count to 3, I want you to get on your knees. And he was like, 1, 2, 3. Every person just went on their knees. I was like, what? This guy's got fucking power, you know? But then he moved forward through that and was saying, when I tell you to jump, I want you to jump. And he was just like building the tension. And you've seen crowds jump, like,
Right.
no big deal. But once they're all on their knees, and then once he hits that 3, he's like, 1, 2, 3. It's like you saw them rise and then rise again. And he wasted no time and went straight into, rush the fucking stage, bitches. And they all, when the crowd was this big, it immediately went to like, they're literally just like shoving up on the front. Next thing you know, he's like, you call that rushing? Rush the stage, pussies. And we just saw security like throwing people off the stage, just like left and right. We saw 3 girls come out crying, like, oh my God. It was like, oh, you went to metal show and you got hurt? No way.
That's crazy.
Well, I swore, I was like, their tour manager is probably just like freaking the fuck out. Like, they're never going to be allowed back. Sure as shit, though, when we saw them at the next show, like in Wisconsin, they were there. Like, why just spit? It worked completely. Like, it's super badass.
So, besides that show, who do you think? I mean, if you saw today, in your perspective, you know, DJing, that you'd be like, wow.
As a DJ or just a performance?
I think a DJ, something that you do that you understand the, you know, the intricacy of it all, the ins and outs.
Right. Okay. So I will compare it to when I saw DJ Shadow and Cut Chemist play at the Voodoo Lounge. Kid Koala opened for them, and I saw Kid Koala open for Radiohead in Boston. And that dude, Kid Koala, is amazing. Uses all, like, he'll use 45s, he'll use standard 12-inch LPs, like, and not a computer. And I heard him do a trumpet solo with a tone over another track, you know, and just his versatility with his, you know, inherent talent is off the charts. But then when DJ Shadow and Cut Chemist were on, they did a dual set, and they're using turntables, they're using MPCs, all kinds of things. And they're the first ones that I saw that on their closing track, they came out, they had 2 turntables that were retrofitted like guitars, that had straps on them, and they stepped out around front. And so they had locking tone arms on them, and they were just holding them and they were scratching like it was a guitar. And that's like, if you're a DJ, that's inspirational. That's super badass.
Right.
And not to mention, DJ Shadow had, you know, Run the Jewels. They even used that track on the Cadillac commercial, I know. Look at this, I'm a bag of dicks. Like, you know, everybody knows that song.
Right.
They don't say that in the Cadillac commercial.
You know, that's probably smart.
I don't know if they sell as many Cadillacs.
Well, maybe.
I'd buy one.
Touche.
You did buy one.
I did. So, I mean, that brings up a good point, though. Is where do you go from here? I mean, do you want to do the European tour? Do you want to go bigger? Do you want to go bolder? What's in store for you, or do you just enjoy doing what you're doing now?
Yeah, that's always. Welcome to my internal. Are you my therapist now? All these things. Thanks for bringing up all the hard.
I will bill
questions.
your ass for this time.
I bet. Thanks for this interview. How much do I owe you now?
Yeah.
We're gonna figure my life out. That is really.
I'll grab you a beer here too, by the way.
I appreciate it. It's seriously hard question.
Yeah.
Because I love this city. Years back, I almost moved to Las Vegas. That clearly didn't happen. And who knows if that would have been good or bad, because a lot of people say, if you're at the cliff, jump and learn to fly, or you fall, you hit, and hopefully brush yourself off. And if you don't die,
Right. I mean, it's
Yeah.
a small cliff.
Moving to Vegas, you might die. Especially, you know me well enough.
Touche.
Cheers.
Indeed. So you didn't answer the question. Yeah.
I sure
What,
didn't.
what's the future hold for you? What do you want to do? What, I mean,
Right
dream
now,
scenario.
I'm using the excuse of COVID right now.
Gotcha.
I always have to have a current excuse.
I
to-
saw your COVID concerts online. I
Yeah.
actually stayed up late and
Yeah.
danced to some of them.
I wish I saw it.
You do not want to see my ass
Oh,
dance.
boy, you told me to dance like I've never danced before for this. I hope to be doing some live streams pretty soon. Hopefully the next couple weeks. I mean, what I really want to do is I really just want to keep DJing shows. But here's something that a lot of people don't know about DJs in general. If you're performing within a venue that is, say, a bar,
Right.
there is a specific demographic. There are rules. You're not on tour. They're not there to see you. They're there to, shake their ass, make bad decisions, and they believe you like. And the truth is, you are there for them.
Right.
Because, like I said, I'm not famous. I know some people. Some people know me, but that by no means says,
I
Oh.
know some people.
"Oh my God, Alan Michael at Iron Horse in Kansas."
I mean, that's people
was-
breaking in to get to.
Because they want to know what Alan Michael's going to do.
I mean, that's people breaking into the show to get the fucking Michi. See how? I mean, you just had to say it.
No, that's me. I just unzipped, bro.
Jesus.
All right, moving forward.
Yeah.
Like seriously, that's hard because I want to do more, and also in the contemporary DJ life, it's becoming a producer, and I have the background of a recording artist, but it's very different for me than, say, a 21-year-old right now
Sure.
that learned everything on. Now, I'm not saying they don't learn instruments still,
Right.
but for me, recording a record, recording a new sound involved being in the studio with a bass guitar in my hands, or playing a djembe, or striking chords on a Fender Rhodes. That's and you have it mic'd, or whether you're running a DI plus the microphone to the cone of the speaker, or when we recorded our record, my lead singer, lead guitar player, he had his amp in the bathroom angled just perfectly with the door closed to get a semi-natural reverb chamber. I mean, and it's just a foreign thing to me to have everything upon the computer. I can pick. I now have Splice, Serum, all these things, but I really don't know how to use them. and that's what I need
Right.
to do. And like I said, that's my unfortunate level of excuses to become more. Oh man, this sounds like a therapy session.
No.
Just bring the mood down.
Last couple questions. So, would you tell someone that comes about in this industry now, that's like, I want to be a DJ? I mean, I just read an article the other day about this woman that wanted to get into it and did a whole journalism piece about in the Europe sector of it, and became a huge DJ out there. What would you say to someone that's young, that's like, hey, I've heard you, you've inspired me, I want to be a DJ? What do you tell them? I mean,
I tell them now, understand the origin of the software that you are utilizing for your career, because within so many of them, they're based on I'm not going to speak on the software writing side,
Sure.
because that's not my expertise, but the music theory behind it. Say in Serato, they basically use the circle of fifths, and you do like a 1A, 2A, but I have mine set to classical settings. So if it's in the key of E, or if this is E minor, or.
but you're trained though in music.
Right. And so I would say, if you don't just, I think the further the depth of your knowledge, the more fluid your utilization of the contemporary tools will be. So why this makes sense.
Gotcha.
And it's at the same time, it's there for you, and also within the help notes, it explains to you why this works.
Sure.
And Also, the best thing I ever heard from someone, there's a book. It's called How to DJ Right. I didn't read it. I opened it, and the first page says, if you ask yourself, what do I play? You play what you like and what you want. If you can't figure that out, get a new job.
That's a good point.
I mean, to be a DJ but if you're just DJing to get a paycheck, then just listen to your boss. That's it.
I got you.
Who owns the club? Who's managing? They said, we want this, and just know that you're building your brand at that point, but are you trying to become an individual? And if you are trying to do both, you have to put your creativity into what is demanded of you at that time. So if you still want to try to educate about any kind of music that you like and love, then you got to really push hard to creatively put it together into what is necessitated for that gig.
Gotcha.
Does that make sense?
It does. So what is the worst song that you've played that if you hear it now, you're like, I'm throwing up the 99 Watermelons?
Oh boy. I have a problem.
I know that, but I mean, what's the worst?
Hi, my name's Alan. No. What I mean is, I just really like all music. And so
I'm not taking that answer.
Okay, I know. And so
Gangnam Style, something like that came out.
That's actually a pretty good one. Did you know that when I saw that on YouTube, it only had like 225 views? I'm like one of the OGs on that one. I will stamp that, like before it went to like 2 billion or something. But there's so many of them, and like currently right now it's like WAP.
Yeah.
Like, come on. We know you want to hear about a wet ass pussy. Come on.
I mean, it is Wednesday.
But I think it's just, as opposed to a specific song.
Sure.
It's more the experience of someone coming up and asking. It's like 9:45 p.m. You're probably not even DJing yet. You don't even have your hands on the records. And like, hey, will you play the number one song on the charts? Yes, I will. Absolutely. At some point during this gig, I'm going to play the most popular song. Do you not? You don't get it? But I also don't really like to play. I don't know. Cupid Shuffle kind of does make me groove a little bit.
Please don't dance. But to wrap up, so you're playing this week. Let everyone know where you're playing this week.
Yes, on New Year's Eve at the Iron Horse in Kansas.
Okay.
And then New Year's Day, brunch, drink specials, everything from noon to 4.
Okay.
And then the next day would be Saturday, right? Yeah. I think I'm playing 6 to close there, 6 to 10 at John's Big Deck still.
Gotcha.
Yeah, and it'll be fun for all.
We'll put your links and stuff on there. I really appreciate your time.
Mm-hmm. And you know what? I want to leave a little extra here. Don't forget about rock and roll.
Yeah.
It's kind of off in the distance right now, and even if a lot of the new stuff you don't like, still give it a shot. Don't forget about guitar, bass, drums, like acoustically recorded, and just allowing a group of individuals to create an atmosphere that you can just feel as though you can live within it and experience that feeling, because that is a driving force behind the music that I select as I play. When I get to do just like open up and play something, that's just like kind of who I am in a nutshell. Music that just surrounds you and makes you feel something, and just go for it,
Well, that's awesome. Well, DJ Alan Michael, I appreciate your time.
Thanks
It's
for
very
having
good
me.
to open you up and get to know you a little bit more. So
I'm an open book, buddy.
I am not jumping the stage because that would be exercise, and that is definitely something that I don't do here at the Coastal Traveler. But we appreciate your time, and we will we'll have you back in and have some more guests on for you. So
Look forward to it.
good to see you, man.
Likewise.
Thanks for your time.